Hey everybody, my name is Tom. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite hobbies that has really served me over the past 10 years of my life, and that is journaling. Like I said, I've been journaling for a really long time. However, I would say that I wasn't always an effective journaler. It was a great habit to build, and I'm so glad that I've been doing it for so long. But I wouldn't say that I always did a great job of journaling. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you a few things that I've learned over the past year that's really helped me be an effective journaler and get more out of the time that I spend writing and being with myself. To start off the video, I would say that the most important thing about journaling is that there's no right way to journal. Some people use prompts, and I think prompts are great for journaling. Sometimes it is good to go in with a very specific question or idea that you want to journal on. It gives you a place to start, especially maybe if you're new to journaling and you don't know how, or you're not exactly sure what works for you. Having a prompt, something that you can sit down and actually work on, is great. So if that's you, if journaling is something that you're interested in, but you don't really know if it's the right thing or how to do it, or you're just curious about how to get started, it's almost like an easy in to have a prompt that you want to work on. And that prompt could be something that you come up with yourself. It could be uh, just a question that you found online, or there might be somebody that sends out journal prompts on a regular basis. Or you could just, if you're cool with AI, just go to ChatGPT and ask for some journal prompts of a topic that you're interested in. If you don't like AI, text a friend or just go online and search for some starter journaling topics. There's all kinds of ways to start, and there's all kinds of ideas. So just find something that could be a good prompt, and that's a great way to start. But if you don't want a prompt, or that doesn't seem like a good fit for you, more often than not, sometimes I just sit down and start writing, and usually something comes to me. I don't always have something that I'm thinking about when I sit down to journal, but it's become such a habit that sometimes I just start writing one little thought that I'm thinking about in that moment, and that leads to the next thing, and that leads to the next thing, and that leads to the next thing, which leads me into the next thing of that I've learned about journaling that has really helped me, especially recently, is how I come to my journaling. In the past, when I would journal, I would write something down and I would just accept that as a fact. And that really didn't serve me because I had a lot of thoughts or beliefs that weren't necessarily true about me or what I was doing or the situations that were in my life. And so now, whenever I start to journal, I come to journaling more curious. I come to journaling more solution oriented. And that, I would say, is the main thing. To when you are journaling, come to it from a place of solution. So if you're facing a roadblock, if you are not sure how to do something or what action is going to be next, just come with a very curious mind. Be willing to ask yourself more questions instead of just accepting everything as fact, and also be solution oriented. So if you're writing something down and you say, I think this about XYZ, or I am a blah, or this is a way that I am, ask yourself, why am I this way? Or why do I think that I'm this way? Or why is this the only way that this can be done? Whatever it might be, just ask yourself a question and then ask yourself another question. And that, through journaling, it's almost like a good back and forth that you're having with your journal. Even though it is just you, the journal for me is almost a way to have a conversation with myself, and it gives me an opportunity to ask myself questions and just dig a little bit deeper and dig a little bit deeper. So as you're getting into journaling, and again, this takes practice. Asking questions, especially asking good questions, is a skill. So as you're learning that skill, and really that's what gave me that skill of being able to ask open questions and good questions, came from journaling because I ask myself so many open questions. And what I mean by open is a question that is not just a yes or no answer. There's closed questions. Closed questions are yes or no questions. Am I this? Am I that? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Anything that ends in a yes or no is closed. Anything that doesn't end in a yes or a no that has an open answer, that could be anything, that's an open question. Why do I think this way? What do I think about this? Why do I feel this way right now? What is causing me to feel this way right now? What am I thinking right now? All of those are open questions, and open questions lead to more thought, they lead to deeper answers, and then they can also lead to deeper and better questions. Make sure that you are open with yourself. Make sure that you're curious about things, and always come to journaling solution oriented. Or, if you're not feeling the best, just at least set a goal for yourself or a desire to get to a place where you are solution oriented or trying to find solutions. I spent a lot of years journaling without thinking about solutions, and it would just be page after page after page of focusing on my problems, focusing on what wasn't working, what I didn't like about a situation. And really, I wrote for many years about the same stuff because I wasn't actually trying to find a solution. I just was so stuck on the problem. While you're journaling, I really want to encourage you to challenge yourself. I've talked about this a little bit already in this video, but I just want to really hit it home that when you are writing, if you write something down, I am this way, or I think this about this, or this idea that I just wrote down isn't going to work and this is why. Always be willing to challenge yourself. So when you write something down, be curious about that and push back on yourself a little bit. If you think that something should only be a certain way, or there's one solution, or something isn't going to work, challenge yourself to write 5 things that would work about that, or maybe 2 or 3 different ways that you could think about a certain situation. Whatever you're writing down, just don't accept it as fact, or that could be the only way that it is, because there isn't just one way to do anything. There are many things that we think, that I think is a fact or is true about me, that is just something that I've accepted as a fact, but it isn't necessarily a fact. So challenge yourself, be willing to push back on the things that you think and the things that you're typing, so that you can look at the world a different way, or find a different solution, or maybe come up with a thought or a possibility that you never thought of before. And journaling can lead to that if you're willing to challenge yourself and push back on the things that you think are true. So don't just be a pushover to your mind. Take control of things, be open to what you're writing, but then also be open to looking at things a different way and being able to see things in a perspective that you might not have thought possible or have been willing to look at before. And the last thing that I want to add in terms of journaling that's been really valuable to me, and this is within the last couple weeks, is having something that I'm going to call an idea card next to you. And really, an idea card could be anything. It could just be a piece of paper. I've really gotten into writing on index cards recently and using those as a resource. So whatever it might be, something that you can keep track of, have something that you want to keep down as more of a action item list, or something that is going to be more immediate than something that you'll have to flip through pages in your journal and find again. Sometimes I just have some really crazy ideas, or I think of a book, or I think of a line from a book. There's all kinds of things that I get distracted by while I'm journaling. When I have those little distractions, something that has been really valuable for me is to have an index card. And I'm just gonna, just like a 3x5 index card right next to me while I'm journaling, so that when something comes up, if I want to remember it later, so that I don't have to remember it in the moment and I'm going back and forth between journaling and remembering that thing, I just write it down on my index card. Then it's saved for me. It's saved for later. I can put it back to the side, and then I can continue the specific thought that I was working on in my journal. I wouldn't recommend a computer or your phone because there are so many extra distractions there, but just having like an index card or a notebook, something like that, have an idea thing next to you so that you can write that quick thought down and then go back to whatever it was you're journaling on. That's journaling. If you've never journaled before, hopefully this helps. If you have been journaling for a long time, let me know what works for you or some things that you really enjoy about journaling. I'd love to hear it, and we'll see you in the next video.